Hello, you're watching TVP World News. I'm Jonasz Lewicki. As markets continue to tumble, European trade ministers are meeting in Luxembourg to discuss the EU's response to the Trump tariffs. Our correspondent Alex Kadir is at the meeting. Alex, what can we expect the EU response to be in this situation?
Well, we understand that as the trade ministers arrive here in Luxembourg this morning, they will be all ears. They will be listening to what the European Commission is proposing for a response later this week. So they will at the moment be getting their bucks in a row, getting ready for a potential response, getting ready for what the EU might do to hit back. But clearly there is a hope that, to quote Napoleon, if your enemy is making a mistake, do not interrupt him. There is a hope from European leaders that they can just wait this out because the markets are reacting so negatively to these tariffs. The markets are reacting so negatively to these economic policies, and therefore Trump may be forced into a reversal. Nevertheless, they want to find a balance between hitting back, a symbol showing that they hit back, but also not rushing to a response too quickly. Now, we can expect a response from the European Commission on Wednesday. What's happening here today in Luxembourg is that the Commission will be taking the temperature of those trade ministers to make sure everybody is on board for the European response.
Alex Kadir with the latest update from Luxembourg. Alex, thank you very much for joining us here today. Now we're moving on. Trump's sweeping tariffs on imports continue to cause major controversies, both domestically and worldwide. Asked about the reactions to the recently introduced tariffs and their effects, U.S. President Donald Trump said he would no longer tolerate trade deficits for the U.S. He also suggested that talks with Europe would only be an option if it agreed to pay large amounts on an annual basis, including for the past.
But I do want to solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations. And they're going to have to do that. And if they want to talk about that, I'm open to talking. But otherwise, why would I want to talk? The problem is that Europe has made a fortune with us. You know, Europe also has had a tremendous surplus with the United States. Europe has treated us, it's a little smaller, but they've treated us very, very badly. The European Union was formed for one reason. You know what that was? To rip off the United States. So put that in your bonnet. I hope you had a good flight. Have a good time.
Thank you for your time, Mr.
Ukraine will send a delegation to the United States next week to begin talks on a new draft agreement granting the U.S. access to Ukraine's mineral resources. The delegation will consist of officials representing the country's foreign affairs, justice, economy, and finance ministers. Our correspondent Oz Katerji is in Kiev and has more. So, hello Oz. This has been a very controversial deal right from the start. What do we know about the latest version thereof? And of course, about the details of the visit?
Well, we understand that the Ukrainians are heading to Washington to negotiate a new draft of this deal. So it's clear that what they have currently is not working for the Ukrainians. We understood last week from the Foreign Minister, Andrei Sybiha, that Ukraine was studying the current draft, trying to see if it was workable with Ukraine's constitution. Now, the implication there was that there are problems with it, with the current draft and Ukraine's constitution. So, again, these negotiations aren't completely open. We don't know exactly what's being said by the Ukrainians to the Americans about this particular deal. We do understand now that this comes from Yulia Sviridenko. She's the country's economy minister. She spoke to the Associated Press and said the new draft agreement from the US shows the intentions to create a fund or jointly invest remains. So the joint investment is something that Ukraine is interested in, but the kinds of terms that were being asked by this current draft were ones that were not palatable to the Ukrainians as it currently stood. It remains to be seen what the outcome of these negotiations will be. For now, we understand that the Ukrainians are planning on heading to Washington, and they're going to argue their case to try and get better, more favorable terms from Washington in regards to this deal. A lot of diplomacy still needs to be underway before that is finally signed, though.
And all that taking place at a very difficult time when it comes to the economy in general, with the tariffs and also very much a developing story. Oz Katerji was with us straight from Kiev. Oz, thank you very much for bringing us this latest update. Now moving on, emergency workers in Kiev continue to clear the rubble of a building that was damaged in a Russian missile strike on Sunday morning. The attack on the Ukrainian capital killed one person and injured 3 more.
The offices of the state-owned international broadcasting multimedia platform of Ukraine were severely damaged in the assault. According to reports by the Ukrainian Air Force, the Russians launched 23 missiles and 109 drones at Ukraine, targeting several regions of the country. The strikes come as the pace of the Russian offensive in Ukraine is steadily decreasing. According to the latest report by the Institute for the Study of War, Russian forces advanced by only 143 square kilometers in the past month, the lowest figure of the past 5 months.
Russian sensors have been discovered in the waters surrounding Britain, according to a report by the Sunday Times. The sensors are believed to be part of an effort to spy on the UK's nuclear submarine fleet.
The British military discovered several sensors after they washed ashore, with more being identified by the Royal Navy. The devices are believed to have been planted by Moscow to gather intelligence on 4 Vanguard submarines carrying British nuclear missiles. The Sunday Times investigation also revealed that unmanned Russian vehicles have been found near deep-sea communications cables. In addition, the report says there is credible evidence that super yachts owned by Russian oligarchs may have been used for underwater reconnaissance.
Polish President Andrzej Duda will travel to Estonia on Monday for a 3-day state visit. The aim of his trip is to strengthen relations between Warsaw and Tallinn, one of Poland's key partners in the Baltic Sea region.
During his official visit, the Polish head of state will hold talks with his Estonian counterpart, Alar Karis, as well as Prime Minister Kristen Michal and Lauri Hussar, the president of the Estonian parliament. Parliamentary cooperation, the security situation in the region, and joint actions within NATO and the European Union will be high on the agenda. Duda will also lay a wreath at the Monument of the War of Independence in a symbolic gesture underlining the shared history of the struggle for sovereignty and the importance of national independence in the context of the Russian threat in Eastern Europe.
Despite being convicted for the embezzlement of public funds and banned from running for president in 2027, French far-right leader Marine Le Pen is far from laying down her arms. On Sunday, her supporters met in Paris, showing defiance to the country's institutions. According to the police, 7,000 people attended the pro-Le Pen rally, while 5,000 were present at a left-wing protest also held in the French capital.
Forget Paris, the city of love. For one afternoon, this was the city of protest. Locals taking to the streets either for far-right figurehead Marine Le Pen.
I decided to make this journey as a young French activist and citizen because Marine Le Pen was unjustly sentenced in a political trial.
Or against.
For me, Le Pen's conviction is totally justified because no one is above the law, no matter who it is. The fact that the far right is going against this decision is grotesque.
It comes after Le Pen was found guilty of misusing EU funds when she was a member of the European Parliament, while also encouraging others to do the same, bringing the total amount embezzled to more than €4 million.
The system brought out the nuclear bomb, and if they are using such a powerful weapon against us, it is obviously because we are on the verge of winning the elections. Let me be very clear, we will not back down.
And on Sunday, she doubled down.
Our code of conduct will never be about brutalization that will be costly to other political groups, but rather a pacifist one like that of Reverend Martin Luther King.
But whatever Le Pen's defence, she will likely pay a politically devastating price, banned from running for office for 5 years, including in the 2027 French presidential election. That's subject to an appeal, which is set to be heard next year.
If we think that the justice condemned Marine Le Pen because she was leading in the poll and that we, the system, the system doesn't like Marine Le Pen because she's from the radical right. I think we are completely wrong and we are missing a point, which is basically what is democracy.
Reaction to the ban has been swift, with the likes of former Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, and even US President Donald Trump going into bat for Le Pen. But others are hitting back.
I'd like the government to remind us of the simple rules that make this a republic, not a banana republic. I look at Madame Le Pen's supporters, who range from Trump to Orban to Putin, and I see that it's all the autocrats and all those who defend a form of democracy we call illiberal. I will not let it be said here that our democracy would be put in danger by the judicial authority. That is not true.
When it comes to the 2027 election, Le Pen had effectively been running in an empty field, as current President Emmanuel Macron is unable to seek a third term and yet to announce his successor. For now, attention turns to whether Le Pen will be on the ballot at all. Aaron Darman, TVP World.
As Romania gears up for the presidential election next month, new details on the annulled first round of voting have emerged. It appears that the far-right, pro-Russian candidate now banned from elections, Călin Georgescu, had managed at the time to flood TikTok with as many as 45 million artificial likes to boost his chances of winning the vote.
New details are emerging on Russian influence in the annulled presidential election in Romania. According to the report published by social media giant TikTok, as much as 45 million likes from fake accounts were used to boost the ratings of Călin Georgescu, a pro-Russian candidate who surprisingly won the first round of the election last year. The second round of the vote was cancelled by the courts after Romania's special services pointed to the wide manipulation campaign by Russian trolls.
That's a very easy way to manipulate, especially if we're talking about this younger generation that's usually more sensitive to the social media. Now, like, people will be doubting anything, and it's every step, and that's actually can be a real problem.
Russia has recently intensified its cyber offensives against European nations. As Poland is heading to a crucial presidential election in May, it's now a target of these attacks as well.
Social media today is just not tools of communication. They are a battleground for democracy. We see Russian intelligence services now. They have been influenced the public opinion in Poland the same way in Romania.
On TikTok's official website, you can find evidence of these efforts. Under Poland, you can see the platform pinpointed a network of at least 12 people in February alone, who have been creating fake accounts in order to make coordinated and directed posts supporting a Polish politician. According to experts, the problem is much bigger than that.
The problem is that algorithms which are used to increase the viewability of the content on such platforms are the perfect tool for misinformation. Because when someone is interested in certain type of information, for example, far right, let's say, narrative, then the system will try to find a similar stuff for the person, assuming that the person would like it. So he or she will see more of those, and when it happens, such a person will believe that this is the view of the whole world.
The TikTok website also fails to mention which politician in Poland received this support. But the candidate with the largest following on TikTok is the far-right Sławomir Mencen, who has drawn in young voters while echoing Russian narratives. Here he is at an election rally on the attack over Ukrainians coming to Poland.
They are coming here, purchasing prescription medicine reimbursed by the state and then going back to Ukraine. That's medical tourism at our expense. This needs to stop.
While Mencen is currently third in polls, the two leading candidates are also present on social media. Warsaw Mayor Rafał Trzaskowski, the ruling coalition's main candidate who boasts the greatest support in the surveys, is no stranger to short video formats.
We've just arrived at the house of Mr. Wojtek, who supported us through a paid text message to receive our campaign poster. We're surprising him because he doesn't know it will be me delivering the poster personally.
Right-wing Karol Nawrocki has chosen a different approach to his social media presence.
The Poland you know is over. It is being flooded by migrants from Africa and the Middle East sent to us from Germany.
This video was released only days after the government of Prime Minister Donald Tusk temporarily suspended the right to asylum in a move to curb illegal migration. In an era of misinformation, it is important to double-check everything posted online, including by presidential candidates. For TVP World, I'm Kazimierz Łysiak.
And that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and please stay with us here on TVP World.